Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Nancy Joseph, aka The Dynamic Doc. Welcome back to my channel. So it's been a little while since that last video. And so a lot has happened in the meantime. Well, first of all, I hope everyone had a great holiday. Since the last video, a lot has happened. It's a new year, so Happy New Year, everyone. And also got a new president. So now it's President Joseph R. Biden, Joseph R. Biden Jr. actually. And now we also have the very first African American and Asian American Vice President, and Madam Vice President Kamala D. Harris. So super excited about that. Super excited. And at the same time, we now have COVID vaccines that have now been rolled out and currently ongoing in that vaccination process, and getting needles into people's arms, as they say, is one of the top priorities of the current administration. So yeah, in the last video, that none of that was the case, and now that's going on. The president, and of course, the presidential election and everything that came with that, and now with the new administration and new horizons, new year, new beginnings. So I'm praying that everybody have a healthy, prosperous, happy, and blessed new year. So with that, let's go ahead and pick it up where we left off at the last video. So with this video, I'll concentrate on studying for your specialty boards. So in the last video, I kind of touched on when you need to study for that. So now in this journey, now in my first year in fellowship. And so doing your first year in fellowship, you'll likely be taking your specialty boards. Now, the resources that you use to study for that varies by specialty. So I will talk in general, but also insert pediatric specific resources. And so in general, a good resource is MedStudy. So the good news is you can get that for, I believe it's available for most, if not all, specialties. And the good news with that too is that you can earn continuing medical education credits by doing the QBanks that go along with that. And you're gonna need that because you'll likely need a training license, if not a full license. And if you have, a full license, part of that renewal process, whenever, sometimes depending on the state, you may have to renew it the very next year after you get it. Let's say you get it first year fellowship, you might have to renew it the very next year, depending. And if you do, then you'll need to kind of have a certain number of CMEs, and having done the QBank helps with that process. And then you could say, yep, I met those CME requirements. I think I racked up about, I really want to say and whatever it was definitely more than enough to renew my license. I did my training in Ohio, and so it was more than enough to renew my license in Ohio. So that's one good thing about that too. And again, MedStudy, you can do your QBanks based on the subject. And also the good thing too is you can do mock exams. So you can do a situation where, hey, you've been studying and you kind of want to see where you're at. So you can really just time everything, take a day and today I'm going to take a mock exam, make sure you're in a quiet place, make sure you have a good study area, and do that. So that's very, very helpful. So that's kind of a general resource. So in the realm of pediatrics now, there are myriad of, companies that have courses that you can use. The main course that I used was called PBR, Pediatric Board Review. And so with that, they had just various types of ways that they had the material available. So first you had the book, but also they had it all audio, and then they had it video. I used the video because they also had a link where you can use, there's this program you can download that also speeds up the audio or videos. And so that was really helpful, because then especially if it's maybe a subject you just want to brush up on, but you feel like comfortable with. You can put it in 1.5 speed or 2 times speed if you could still digest the information at that speed. For me, in general, just to be able to get through the material in a time efficient manner, I did like 1.5 speed. And then I would listen to it while I, sometimes depending on my rotation, I had a longer drive. I would listen to that so I can get through the material. And at first I was worried about like writing things down and taking notes. But again, I had the book. So you can take your time and read that book and take the notes that way if you're kind of like a concrete person. But if you can, if you're more like a listener and you can digest stuff, that's definitely an option as well with that program. So in pediatrics, the Association of Pediatrics, American Association of Pediatrics, also has, I think it's called PediaLink, where you can do questions on that too. Oftentimes, your residency program did some board review with you already, because it helps them look better when they're graduating or just graduated residents past the boards. So usually your residency program has like some kind of board review program, process, schedule thing available. And so with that, usually they'll use your specialty specific resources that they recommend. And then that would be something you have had used in the latter months of your residency, and you want to build on that in fellowship. Like I said, you want to make sure you schedule that appropriately in terms of schedule your study times appropriately in terms of, what rotations you're on, because the boards are only offered one time a year in that specific increment, and then you take it. That's really it. And if you don't feel prepared, then you'll just have to wait till the next year. And I know people who, hey, they weren't prepared. You wait till the next year, and then you just don't want to be too complacent, and then get into that same situation the year after that. You want to be like, okay, I'm going to wait till next year, but then, at least about 6 months before your exam, you want to now be getting your mind together again. But in general, it's a marathon, just like any other medical exam, from the MCAT to the USMLEs or COMLEXs to now your specialty boards. It's a marathon. It's an 8-hour exam. It's the same Prometric, run by Prometrics. So the same, need your ID to come in, need your ID to go out and, to breaks. You have your ear, soundproofing earmuffs when you take the exam. Focused. It's like a full day at work type thing, 8 to 5 or 8 to 3, depending. It's about, mostly like 8 to 4, with an hour of break in between. But yeah, it's a full thing like you did before. Now that time with whether it's 8 to 4 or 8 to 5, all that stuff that kind of can vary, because I can only talk for the pediatric specialty. I don't know about the others, but I do know, depending on your specialty, you may have 2 parts where there is kind of like maybe an oral part of the boards and then a written part of the boards. So definitely get informed, but you want to have done that. And, usually you've done that in residency anyway. But you want to have that mindset when you start fellowship so that you can mentally be prepared, and you want to get all your sources together so you can implement those sources within the first month of you starting fellowship, so you can be on that marathon and you slow and steady as opposed to trying to cram at the last minute. So those are kind of some tips and some logistics about your specialty boards. So stay tuned for the next video. I'll talk about fellowship, and mine was a 2-year fellowship, so I'll just talk about the differences between year 1 and year 2. So stay tuned for the next video. Well, I'll get into the years of fellowship. In the meantime, go ahead and check my previous videos, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Be blessed. Happy New Year, and stay safe, everyone. Peace.